When you're lucky enough to get 6 films into a franchise, the series has usually hit its peak. However, with the Mission Impossible films, barring 2 of course, each entry seems to get better and better. Does this trajectory continue with the latest Mission Impossible Fallout? My thoughts on the film coming up. What is up, everyone, and welcome to Men vs. Movies. I'm Griffin, as always, and if this is your first time checking out the channel, be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button for more movie and television-related content on a weekly basis. Christopher McQuarrie, who is behind Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, is back in the director's chair, and of course, the film is starring Tom Cruise along with the rest of the reoccurring cast from the Mission Impossible films. Only this outing, we're swapping out Jeremy Renner, and we're getting Henry Cavill. After the events of Rogue Nation, the Syndicate has been eliminated, and in its place, a new terror organization made from the remnants of the previously mentioned organization has formed called the Apostles. Their mission? Nuclear war, in order to bring about long-term peace. In an effort to stop the Apostles, Ethan and the IMF must team up with the CIA, and it becomes a race against the clock in order to save the world. It goes without saying that the Mission films continue to push boundaries when it comes to action set pieces, and Tom Cruise in particular has set a new precedent when it comes to actors pushing boundaries for the sake of entertainment. I mean, for God's sake, the man broke his ankle, went to physical therapy, and then came back to finish the film and carried out his own stunts. And with each entry, they usually bring on a new director to shake things up, make things feel a little fresh and different while still keeping on the Mission Impossible brand. For me, one of the franchise's best attributes is how they'll choose to tell a more personal and character-driven story, a la Mission Impossible 3, and then they'll decide to focus on a team dynamic with more action spy elements thrown in there, a la Ghost Protocol and Christopher McQuarrie's first outing, Rogue Nation. With McQuarrie returning, I was very curious as to how he was going to make Fallout feel fresh, and also what more he had left to bring to the table for a sequel. And let me tell you, the end result is astounding. Christopher McQuarrie has truly outdone himself this time and proves that he is truly the master of Mission Impossible. McQuarrie takes everything you thought you knew about his approach to a Mission Impossible film and throws it out the window. He stated in interviews that in order to keep with the tradition of hiring new directors for each entry in the franchise, that he wanted his approach to crafting Fallout to be completely different, and I can assure you it shows. McQuarrie finds the perfect balance of telling an edge of your seat spy action film and yet adding genuine character moments, and once again delving into the personal dilemma Ethan must confront when he's faced with saving the world. On top of that, McQuarrie manages to really go back to the series' spy roots, creating an interesting dynamic between agencies under one flag, nations who would otherwise be allies, gunning for different outcomes. This balance is so skillfully achieved, and it's perfect for those fans who prefer the IMF team-centric stories, and also for those who prefer the more personal character-driven films. And it's not just this balance that gives the film such character, it's the story that McQuarrie and the screenwriters are telling. Fallout is an exhilarating, edge-of-your-seat thrill ride that is a race against the clock from the second the film opens. The stakes have never been higher, both in a worldly and personal sense. There are the signature Mission Impossible twists and turns at every corner, several of which are very rewarding. The intensity has been dialed up to 11, and it's one of the few times in the franchise where I wasn't sure if each member of the team was going to make it out alive by the end. The film has such a driving force and perfect pace that brilliantly replicates the ticking time of a bomb set for detonation. And what could help steer that force better than the breathtaking action sequences that has become such an iconic staple of the franchise? I kid you not when I say that I was gripping the arms of my chair for the majority of this film's runtime. The spectacle that Tom Cruise and the stunt team pull off in Fallout is nothing short of death-defying and miraculous, and what adds more suspense to them is how they've been set up in the story. Obviously, the helicopter sequence that we've all seen from the trailer is the big one that everyone's going to be talking about leaving the theater, and rightfully so. I mean, that sequence is mind-blowing for sure, and you haven't seen anything compared to the full version of it. But there are 2 other sequences that I'd like to touch on. The first is a motorcycle chase that transitions into a car chase, and the one thing that I think that we can see from Christopher McQuarrie that is carried over from Rogue Nation into Fallout is his ability to transition into action set pieces. It just flows so well, and especially in this chase scene in particular. And once again, I have to applaud Christopher McQuarrie for deciding to leave out music and focus on the raw intensity and natural sounds of the action. From the roaring engines to the sound of gunfire, I mean, the sound design truly worked their best magic in order to enhance this sequence. On top of that, the way in which they showcased the action set piece was equally as thrilling and even reminded me a little bit of that iconic Steve McQueen motorcycle chase from The Great Escape. All in all, this is one scene that had me absolutely white-knuckled. As for the second, well, there's another Tom Cruise running sequence, and that's probably as good as the iconic one from J.J. Abrams' Mission Impossible 3. And similar to MI3, what helps this one carry weight is how it affects Ethan's character arc. Speaking of characters, let's touch on some of those next. I know it's been said ad nauseum that Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt, and in Fallout, it's only reaffirmed, and it's impossible to imagine anyone else in the role. Cruise truly has never been better and perfectly conveys Ethan's moral dilemma of wanting to do the right thing, but also understanding that he has to complete the mission. The film truly has Ethan grapple with the decisions he makes and their effects on the ones around him in the most extreme ways possible, and it proves to be what I feel is his most difficult challenge yet. Add on top of that the incredible physical performance that Cruise gives in the fight scenes, in the stunt choreography, and you're simply sitting there watching an actor give absolutely nothing less than 100% for the entirety of the film. Now, Cruise certainly propels the narrative forward, but I do want to quickly mention Rebecca Ferguson and Henry Cavill. With Fallout actually being a direct sequel to Rogue Nation, we get to see the continuation of Rebecca Ferguson's Ilsa and how her arc continues after being freed from the grasp of the Syndicate. Ilsa, throughout the course of Rogue Nation and now Fallout, definitely has one of the more compelling and fascinating character arcs, and Rebecca Ferguson plays into each facet of Ilsa perfectly. Ferguson also, once again, has terrific chemistry with Cruise, and I really like where they took the relationship in this outing. It kind of goes in different ways that you might not expect, and I think it added for great character moments on both sides. As for Henry Cavill, the man simply needs more recognition as an actor because I think he gives one of his best performances to date in Fallout. His interactions with Ethan and the direction in which they take his character are great, and Cavill plays into the character moments to the fullest. I also love just how much of a physical presence he was on screen, especially during the bathroom fight that we've all seen in the trailers where he reloads his fists. And let me tell you, it's just as good as you can imagine, and even reminded me a little bit of the beginning of Casino Royale. And it's not just the fight scenes, it's the stunts too. I think Cavill deserves a lot of credit for being able to go toe-to-toe with Tom Cruise in a lot of these big action set pieces. And the last thing I want to mention regarding Mission Impossible Fallout is the score by Lorne Balfe. I found to be absolutely excellent. Now, Brody and I had the privilege to interview Lorne, the link to which that interview you can find over here, and I have to say, he crafts one of the most unique Mission Impossible scores to date, while really enhancing the elements that are going on screen and staying true to the core of Mission Impossible. And that's it, guys. Mission Impossible Fallout floored me from start to finish. There was never a dull moment, and it was nothing short of an adrenaline rush until the credits started rolling. Christopher McQuarrie proves he not only wholeheartedly understands the franchise, but he's skillfully aware of how to lend a different voice to tell a unique story to the franchise, but also have it remain very Mission Impossible. Couple that with exhilarating and thrilling action set pieces, and you have one of the best spy action films, quite frankly, that I have ever seen. And for all those reasons and the reasons I've mentioned throughout my review, I'm ultimately going to be giving Mission Impossible Fallout supercharged. As I mentioned earlier in my review, Brody and I had a chance to talk with Lorne Balfe. He was very gracious with his time. We learned a little bit more about his process, how he approaches film scores, his large body of work, specifically Mission Impossible franchise, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and some other stuff as well. So be sure to check that out. It's either already up or it will be up. It's pretty fantastic, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review of Mission Impossible Fallout. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below, and let me know what your favorite Mission Impossible film is. If you like this video, be sure to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more movie and television-related content on a weekly basis. You can like Men vs. Movies on Facebook and follow us on Twitter simply by searching Men vs. Movies. And lastly, guys, if you like me specifically and you like what I have to say, you can always give me a follow on Twitter at Griff Schiller. All right, that's gonna do it for this review, guys, and until next time, take care.